In this video, I'm going to show you how Kendall Burns dropped his pop time from a 209 to a 191 in 1 week of training with me without having to do any random drills that he found on the internet. By the end of this video, you'll know how to create direction with your lower half to get more behind your throws, let the ball travel deeper for a cleaner and more efficient transfer, how to maximize your scap retraction so you can apply force to the baseball for a longer period of time, and how to implement rhythm and timing into your drill progressions so you can drop your pop time for good. So I'm not wasting anybody's time. This video is for catchers that know they have more in the tank in terms of their throw and their ability to drop their pop time. Maybe you've tried different drills or worked with different coaches, but nothing has gotten you the results that you're looking for yet. You might be somebody that knows they can drop their pop time, but you're struggling to figure out what it is that's holding you back from seeing a better time. This video is for somebody who's eager to learn about the throwing sequence and think outside of the box when it comes to their throw. If you're willing to put in the work and apply what you've learned, keep watching this video. If that's not you and you want to keep working on the same drills you've been doing, keep training the same movement patterns that have given you a subpar pop time, and you don't want to learn what the best throwers in the game are actually doing within their throw, go ahead and click away from this video. You can watch my other content and get a lot of value from that stuff. The program that Kendall followed is the 4-week Drop Your Pop Time Challenge. The reason this program is different from something else you might have tried is within this program, we're breaking down the throwing sequence into 4 separate segments. The first segment is going to be creating direction and momentum with our lower half. The second segment is going to be transferring the ball deep and efficiently. The third segment is going to be maximizing our scap retraction within our upper half. The fourth segment is going to be creating the rhythm and timing that's necessary to get our body in the right positions at the right time in order to perform the throw consistently and accurately. Each week of the program is focused on mastering one part of the sequence. Once you have a good understanding of that part of the sequence, then you can move on to the next step of the throwing sequence. But until the understanding is there, you can't move on just yet. Because we get so specific on each part of the throwing sequence, it allows my athletes to break down their throw on a macro level and really understand what it takes to throw correctly and drop their pop times the right way. You've probably tried random mental cues or random drill videos that you found on the internet, and these probably haven't worked for you yet because they didn't paint you a full picture of your throwing sequence and why each part of that sequence is so important. In the Drop Your Pop program, we give guys learning modules that highlight these concepts, and then they can apply what they're learning in these instructional videos to their drill progressions throughout the week. They then record video of themselves performing these drill progressions, and then we hop on a Zoom call to go over the video that they've gathered, make sure they're progressing properly, understanding and applying the concepts that they're learning, and actually making the improvements they want to see before we move them on into the next step of the sequence. I give my guys an understanding of how to create direction with the lower half in week 1. In week 2, we learn how to let the ball travel deeper so we can get farther into our throwing sequence before the ball actually hits our glove, and how to create an efficient transfer based on what we've already learned with the lower half. In week 3, once we've created a good understanding of how the lower half is going to carry our throw, how to let the ball come to us and create a clean and efficient transfer, we start implementing drills to maximize our scap retraction, which is going to allow us to throw the ball a lot harder and create a lot more backspin. Once we hit week 4, we've created an efficient and powerful throwing sequence. So now we're tying this all together through throwing progressions that focus on the rhythm and timing of the throw so we can really minimize our pop time. Now you might be skeptical and think that I'm just some random coach on the internet, but here are my credentials. My name is Nick Zoris. I played Division I baseball at Illinois State University. I led my team to a conference championship and an NCAA regional. I caught every single game of conference play that year as well as the postseason, and I believe I was a vital piece to my team's success that year. Since I started catching, I was always hungry to figure out the best way to throw a baseball. I became obsessed with popping the best time at a showcase, throwing the hardest velo out of the chute, and really showing out at these showcase tournaments when I knew there were college coaches in the stands. Because of my obsession with optimizing my throw, I went on to start coaching after my playing career ended, and I really started to run with the throwing portion of our position. I realized that I had a great ability to help catchers improve, and I wanted to do more of it. Fast forward a few months, and I simplified everything that I learned into a 4-week program that's already seeing crazy results. So here are some of the guys that have been through this program and have implemented what they learned and seen crazy results already. So first we have Anderson Sherm. When he first came to me, Anderson was popping a 2.4. And then at the end of his training, Anderson was able to get his pop time down to a 2.1. And then we have Jonathan Warren, who came to me also popping a 2.4, and he was able to get his pop time down to a 1.94, which is pretty amazing. Another guy is Andrew Faraday. He started at a 2.1 pop time and he's now down to a 1.9 pop time. And then most recently, we have Kendall Burns, who came to me at a 2.09 pop time, and he's now down to a 1.91 pop time. The craziest part about Kendall's story is he's only on his first week of his training program. So he's still got 3 more weeks of work to do. So I'm super excited to see what kind of progress he continues to make. But the fact that he was able to drop that much in just 1 week of training with me definitely speaks volumes to his work ethic and his ability to apply what he's learning in this program. So at this point, you're probably thinking, okay, that all sounds really good, but how can I see these improvements for myself? So I'm going to run you guys through exactly how I've structured Kendall's program and all these other guys' programs, exactly how the Drop Your Pop Time program is structured and how everything's laid out, and the exact process that all of my guys follow to see such amazing results. But before we get into that, I need to establish a couple baseline understandings just so you can understand how I think about the throwing sequence and then how I teach that to the guys that I work with currently. So we need to think about our throws to second base as a sequence of events. If any part of our throwing sequence is off or incorrect, we're going to have to compensate somewhere else in our sequence. I'm sure you've made plenty of throws where you felt like your arm wasn't working as well as it could have. Maybe it's drifting away from your body, or you weren't getting to a full scap retraction. You weren't creating enough backspin on your throws. Maybe your footwork was too long and it was causing everything to be out of sync. And because of one of these issues, you end up fighting your body in order to get a throw off, and that leads to inconsistent throws and longer pop times. If you can understand that all of these issues that you faced were a result of an improper throwing sequence and your body is compensating for an inefficient movement somewhere along that sequence, you'll be in a much better position to fix the issues that you're facing within your throw. Once you understand this, you can then find the source of the issue within your throw, whatever's causing you to not throw as well as you could. Now you can really pinpoint what that issue is and attack it specifically. And when you can attack the issues within your throw super specifically, it's going to allow you to improve a lot faster, just like Kendall did when he was able to drop his pop time by 0.18 within the span of a week. So going into the throwing sequence, it's going to be broken down into 4 parts. Part number 1 of the throwing sequence is going to be our lower half. More specifically, how we create momentum and direction with our lower half in order to get deeper into our throwing sequence before the ball actually hits our glove and the clock starts to time our pop time. This part of the throwing sequence is debatably the most important because it's responsible for the success or the failure of the rest of our throwing sequence. The lower half is how we create the momentum necessary to be consistent and accurate, both in game or at a showcase. The lower half is what keeps our hips online, which in turn keeps our shoulders online, which is going to allow us to maximize our scap retraction and apply force through the baseball for a longer period of time, which is going to result in harder throws. Too often I see guys create little or no direction with their lower half, and this causes them to have to reach for the baseball instead of letting it come to them. This causes them to come straight up out of the shoot instead of allowing themselves to stay in their legs and create the force necessary with the lower half in order to carry a strong throw. So what we focus on in week 1 of the program is how to fix all of these issues by creating a proper weight shift through our lower half. To make this concept a little more clear, I'm going to show you one of my favorite videos that really does an amazing job at highlighting these concepts and giving you a strong visual to go along with what you're learning. So we're still focused on part A of the sequence, which is creating direction with the lower half. So I want you to watch his lower half in this video, and specifically within his lower half, the direction he's creating with that lead leg. And if you want to look at it even further, watch the direction that he creates with that front knee. And I want you to watch the path that that lead knee is taking while he's letting the ball travel to his glove. This is all movement that he's creating before that ball has even touched his glove, before the clock has even started to measure his pop time. So you can see that he's driving that lead leg and that lead knee directly towards his target at second base. This movement right here is going to set up his sequence extremely well and allow his body to work extremely efficiently through the back half of his throwing sequence. So part B of the throwing sequence is going to be our transfer. So you can see, because he's able to create that direction and momentum before the ball even hits his glove, where does he catch this ball? You can see he catches that ball extremely close to his body. It's almost up against his chest, and that allows him to get super deep into his throwing sequence instead of staying stagnant and having to reach to go get the ball. You can imagine that because his lower half has begun working so well, because he's created that direction, he's now saving all this time on his pop time simply because he doesn't have to reach in order to create momentum behind his throw. He's already created that momentum with his lower half. Now, once we've created that direction, we've allowed that ball to travel deep. Now we can really have a clean rotation around the ball when we're performing our transfer. This is going to give our feet more time to get set in the ground, which is going to allow our hips to get separated for a longer period of time and allow us to maximize the amount of scap retraction that we're getting. This is also going to allow us to transfer energy really well through the lower half, simply because we've created such an efficient transfer. That backside can get set, and now we can transfer all that energy from our back leg through our hips and into our throw. There's no wasted time or movement with this move right here. The third part of the throwing sequence, after we've optimized our lower half and created such a clean transfer, is going to be maximizing the amount of scap retraction that we're able to get. So because the first two parts of the sequence are so clean and efficient, now he has all this time really maximizing his range of motion, and he's able to create that separation with his lower half because he's established a strong base and a strong foundation within the ground. He's able to create all that tension and really transfer that through his throw. So he gets his upper half to full retraction extremely early, and now he has all this time to apply force behind the baseball and create that true backspin that we all want. And I'm willing to bet that this throw was an absolute seed, and it spun really well. And then to tie everything together, we get into the fourth part of the sequence, which is going to be our rhythm and timing. We focus on creating rhythm and timing within our drill progressions so that the entire throw feels in sync and in rhythm with the pitch coming at us. A proper understanding of the rhythm and timing of the throwing sequence is what allows us to get our bodies in the right spots at the right times, which allows us to make consistent throws on the corner of the bag every single time. So if you're a catcher that has tried multiple drills, multiple mental cues, but you still don't have a good understanding of the throwing sequence, and you still want to drop your pop time by 0.1 or more in 4 weeks of training without having to try random drills where you're not really sure if they're working or you're getting the most out of them, or working with coaches who quite frankly aren't getting you the results that you actually want, you can go ahead and book a call with me and my team. We'll run through your situation and see if you make a good fit for the program, and we'll determine if we can actually help you drop your pop time. If you're a good fit for the program, we can go ahead and get started. Again, this is only for catchers who are willing to dive deep into this training program. You're dedicated and able to put in the work over your 4 weeks of training with me in order to actually see the results that you want. If you're not ready to make that leap just yet, you can continue watching my other content that I'm posting for free, and you'll be able to get a ton of value and information out of those resources. So at this point, you have two options. You can keep trying to figure out the throwing sequence on your own. You can keep trying to decrease your pop time with random videos that you're finding on the internet or random cues that you're picking up from coaches or teammates, or you can work with somebody who's gone through the grunt work of figuring out the throw, has taught multiple catchers how to decrease their pop time, and is getting these guys incredible results in a short amount of time. If you're ready to expedite that process and really get to work and see results like all these guys that have gone through the program, go ahead and book a call with me to see if you'd make a good fit for the program. If I think I can help you, I will reach out to you in order to schedule a time to speak. If I could help you decrease your pop time for good, what would that mean for your career? How would that set you apart when you go to showcases? How would that impact your amount of playing time on your team? And what would that mean for your ability to continue playing baseball for a long time? So if you're ready to decrease your pop time by 0.1 or more, go ahead and book a call with me and let's get after it.